Okay, so let's talk about the art of not caring, okay? And the reason why this is something that every person has to master in life. If you care too much about what others people think, about their opinion, it's gonna get in the way of you and your own self. In other words, when you're thinking how you're coming across because you care about this person's reaction, you're gonna stop looking at yourself and accepting yourself, and you're gonna be filtering yourself. And because of that, everything you say, your words, thoughts, and action are gonna be completely incongruent. Your mind feels insecure. Your voice says things that's secure, but your body is also demonstrating twitchy behavior while trying to maintain a confident pose. All of that sends incongruent signal that people interpret unconsciously as weird, or you give me a weird vibe, or I can't trust you. You're giving vibes to people that says, I shouldn't do business with you. I shouldn't go out with you. Why? Because you're also giving inconsistent vibes. Something about you is just not adding up. So today we're going to talk about how to not care, how to stop caring what people think of you, how to stop caring on the outcome so that you could actually attain the outcome that you're looking for, right? Because the Bhagavad Gita says you're entitled to the labor, but not the fruits of your labor. The way to growth in any aspect of life is to focus more on the process than the outcome itself. Okay, so let's begin with the video. So the first thing you have to do is if you have a flood in your apartment and there's water causing the flood, the first thing that you do is not clean up the water. The first thing you do is turn off the faucet. If you are caring too much and wanting the outcome, the thing that you do is not attain what you want, or not attaining or attaining the validation. That's not what you do. What you do is learn to shut off that part of yourself that's consistently caring about people. Because when you really care, there's really a thought that verbally tells you you care, but also the sensation of not accepting who you are at the end of the day. And whenever that happens, you tend to give all of your attention to the images of your mind, to the mental projections of your mind, and to the mental chatter in your mind. In other words, when you care what people say, there's something, you become disassociated from your body. You stop feeling your body and you're always in your head. You're thinking about whether or not do they like me. When you start feeling nervous, and because of the nervousness, you stop trying to not feel nervous through more mental chatter. And because of that, you're giving energy to the mental chatter, and that mental chatter is something that you're not controlling. So like a horse without a rider, all of a sudden that mental chatter turns to the negative, because it's almost like things go towards atrophy. Things go towards more the negative naturally if you don't control it. And so it creates more insecure thoughts. So the solution to it, because what's really happening when you're in your head, you literally stop feeling your body. You stop smelling the air. People walk by you and you may not even recognize them. You might be so thinking about thinking about yourself, about your own insecurity, that you're walking straight and you might miss and you might not notice your friend walk by you. Right? So the key to this is to return to the body. So how do you do this? Well, first of all, literally feel your body. Feel your hand right here. Feel your hand. Just feel your hand. Feel your hand from within. Are you aware that as you're feeling the hand, you're not really thinking? By you removing attention from the mind and into the body, you literally strip energy that the brain, that the mind, your ego uses to create insecurity. You're removing the energy. So there's still a fire of insecurity because you've been feeding your mind so much fire of insecurity, but now you're focusing on the hand. So now there's no more fuel. That don't mean that the fire is gonna stop. No, it means that it's gonna stop growing, and like anything, it's gonna burn away. So just keep feeling your hand. And what you wanna do is scan your whole body. Scan your whole body with your mind. Feel these parts. Keep scanning. You scan every part of your body. You might want to scan the whole hand, or you might want to start mentally with your eyes closed, scan little parts of your hand. Like imagine how this feels, right? Just feel this part of your hand. Now that's that same sensation. Move that awareness of that hand. Move it here, and then move it here, move it here, and then go around in your mind. Try to feel every part that I'm pointing to, right? You're not really feeling it with your hands. You're not looking at it. You have your eyes closed and you're imagining your awareness is like an ant going throughout your whole body, and you scan the whole body. And what you're doing is that when you're doing that, you're not mentally creating negative thoughts, because this takes so much focus. So whenever you're in an environment and you feel insecure, you're thinking about what people say, just scan your hand, scan your body. Just distract yourself with scanning your body, like a puzzle that you're doing, but rather you're scanning your body. You're walking around, you're at a party, and just keep feeling your hand, keep scanning the body. And if you notice the thoughts are too strong, sit down and bring even more attention to feeling it. Like, try to feel this part even more, for example. And once you feel it, scan it, keep scanning, and try to feel more of the sensation of the hand, of the sensation of your skin. Feel what sensations are going on, scan it around. And what you're doing is that you're allowing yourself to feel the insecurity, but it's also burning away. And you're reclaiming it by bringing it to your body, and that over time will liberate you. You could do that as a 30-minute meditation on a daily basis, or as you're walking down the street, you scan your body. Trust me, it's possible. And what you're doing is that you're not adding to the insecurities you already feel. And so if you just keep doing this over time, those insecurities go down. This is literally the direct way of not caring. You're not trying to fight it with another thought. You're not imagining, oh, I don't care, or I am high value. No, you're literally unplugging that part of yourself that created the insecurity by bringing it back to your body. And what happens is that there's some parts of your body that are numb. And if you're scanning the body and you notice you can't feel a certain part, once you finish the scan, return to that part and feel it for like a minute or so. And just keep feeling that part of your hand. Keep feeling that part of your hand, or the part that you didn't feel. And then once again, scan it. Because what happens is that trauma, insecurity numbs certain parts of your body more than others. So somebody might notice they feel numb here more than here. For me, it might be my thigh. For some other people, it might be here. But once you're scanning, be aware you couldn't scan it that well. Keep scanning it, finish it, and then return to that, feel it, bring all of your sensations to that part for like a minute, and then do it again. I'm giving you guys some crazy shit. The next one is realize that we're all going to die. It's another part. Visualize that we're all going to die. Once you're able to see the death in everyone, in yourself, and in your kids, and your family members, and your friend, you'll notice that there's a part of you that stops caring. It's almost like, hopefully I could put this poetry.
Seeing the world through the eyes of death allows us to perceive things as they truly are, with an intensity that cuts through illusions. It's akin to watching footage of loved ones who have passed away, evoking a bittersweet longing. Death adds a haunting beauty, revealing the underlying physical reality of our destiny that we often choose to deny. Being aware of our mortality enables us to embrace the raw reality and miraculous brevity of life. We are able to dance with life the songs that death whispers to us. It mirrors the profound experience we will all face in our final moments, where heightened consciousness emerges as we cling to our remaining time in this world, where we see people's faces for who they really are, sense the true essence of the consciousness of our loved ones, and see the world as one through the brotherhood of death. Without the constraints of ego, we absorb the world and amplify its impact. This reality is available to us at every moment, inviting us to contemplate our existence and discover deeper truths, to feel at ease at the thought of our separation with the physical world. It asks us to listen and to sense the fleeting nature of ourselves and our loved ones. The world we live in offers us our countless perspectives to see the world through, numerous realities to experience. You can see the world as a child, as an adult, as a villain, as a hero. However, viewing the world through the eyes of death represents the ultimate reality, the closest proximity to the essence of truth. Similar to how gravity distorts time through the eyes of death, there's no distortion of reality from the ego. It allows us to see things as if it were our last encounter, bringing us eyeball to eyeball without flinching with the nature of reality itself, and finding peace in our mortality.
And so you start seeing the world through the eyes of death. You start seeing your mom knowing that she's going to die. You start seeing your friend knowing that they're going to die. Even the people who you care, who are judging you and you want their validation, imagine and know that they're going to die. your desire for the validation goes down. If you notice that maybe something in your life is not going well, you also know that one day you're also going to die.
Normally, we go through life in a very distracted, dreamlike state, with our gaze turned inward. Much of our mental activity revolves around fantasies and resentments that are completely internal and have little relationship to reality. The proximity of death suddenly snaps us to attention as our whole body responds to the threat. We feel the rush of adrenaline, the blood pumping extra hard to the brain and through the nervous system. This focuses the mind to a much higher level, and we notice new details, see people's faces in a new light, and sense the impermanence in everything around us, deepening our emotional responses. This effect can linger for years, even decades. We cannot reproduce that experience without risking our lives, but we can gain some of the effect through smaller doses. We must begin by meditating on our death and seeking to convert it into something more real and physical.
One day, everything's gonna go away. What you want to do is meditate on that for like a few minutes a day. Meditate on how are you gonna die. Imagine what are the different ways you might die. What are the different ways one of your friends might die? Imagine mourning the death of someone, mourning the death of your friends, mourning the death of your family members, mourning the death of certain cities, perhaps mourning the death of those who died. That will bring you closer to reality, and there's a certain weight that's lifted, because a lot of the times a lot of our fears and desires come from our fear of death, right? That fear is the main foundation to all of our emotions. Fear of death. If you have a strong fear of death, you're going to have a stronger inability to deal with emotions. If you have no fear of death, you'll notice that you can handle your emotions a little bit better, unless you're a psychopath.
Most of us spend our lives avoiding the thought of death. Instead, the inevitability of death should be continually on our minds. Understanding the shortness of life fills us with a sense of purpose and urgency to realize our goals. Training ourselves to confront and accept this reality makes it easier to manage the inevitable setbacks, separations, and crises in life. It gives us a sense of proportion, of what really matters in this brief existence of ours. Most people continually look for ways to separate themselves from others and feel superior. Instead, we must see the mortality in everyone, how it equalizes and connects us all. By becoming deeply aware of our mortality, we intensify our experience of every aspect of life.
So other things that you could do is just imagine when you're watching younger people walk by the street. Imagine how they're gonna be old, how they're gonna look when they're old. When you see older people, imagine how they looked when they were younger. Imagine you want to get comfortable with the movement of time and stop seeing people static, like as though this 20-year-old will always be 20 and this 70-year-old was never young. You want to be able to understand it by visualizing everyone's eventual death, and every older person how they looked when they were young, so that you can actually have a real perspective on time, so that you could then respect the time that you have on this earth. This will liberate you. This will bring a certain level of happiness. People who experience a near-death experience will tell you that for a few days there's an afterglow. An afterglow where you appreciate life and you stop caring about the little squaddles. And people will tell you that those who almost die, they don't care about what people think of them. All they care about is their family members. All they care about is about things that really matter.
In December of 1849, the 27-year-old writer Fyodor Dostoevsky, imprisoned for participating in an alleged conspiracy against the Russian Tsar, found himself and his fellow prisoners suddenly transported to a square in St. Petersburg and told that they were about to be executed for their crimes. This death sentence was totally unexpected. Dostoevsky had only a few minutes to prepare himself before he faced the firing squad. In those few minutes, emotions he had never felt before came rushing in. He noticed the rays of light hitting the dome of a cathedral and saw that all life was as fleeting as those rays. Everything seemed more vibrant to him. He noticed the expressions on his fellow prisoners' faces and how he could see the terror behind their brave facades. It was as if their thoughts and feelings had become transparent. At the last moment, a representative from the Tsar rode into the square, announcing that their sentences had been commuted to several years' hard labor in Siberia. Utterly overwhelmed by his psychological brush with death, Dostoevsky felt reborn, and the experience remained embedded in him for the rest of his life, inspiring new depths of empathy and intensifying his observational powers. This has been the experience of others who have been exposed to death in a deep and personal way.
And the next one is knowing what you want, having a higher sense of purpose. Having a higher sense of purpose. When you're focused on your purpose, you stop caring what people think of you. When you're focused on your purpose, you stop caring about how this person thinks, about what this person thinks about the path that you're taking. If you love what you're doing and you believe in what you're doing, that sense of purpose will insulate you from the criticism, from the pressures from other people to take other people's path. That sense of purpose will allow you to say no to the wrong path because you want this thing so badly. Developing a sense of purpose will insulate you. Letting go. Sorry, people, right? So how do you develop a sense of purpose? Is find your calling in life. You first start out by exploring what are the things that you enjoyed when you were little. What are the things that you enjoyed when you were younger? Maybe it was visual. Maybe it was writing words. Maybe it was dance. Maybe it was movement. Maybe it was sports. And try to get yourself into it right now. If you were a ballerina, join a dancing class. Who cares if it's not professional? Who cares if you may not like that dancing class? The road to exploring who you are, it's a road that's dark, but it leaves you clues. You're almost like with your eyes closed, trying to find something in the room. As long as you're searching, you will eventually find it if you keep touching things. And yeah, the first thing that you touch might not be your phone, but if you keep looking around, keep searching in the vicinity, which is doing the things that you did when you were younger, keep trying and don't be afraid to fail. And all of a sudden, you're going to find your phone. You'll find your calling. But the key to it is this. And the more you do this, the closer you get. And as long as you take the slow route, you'll get there faster, right? And this process creates a sense of purpose. This process allows you to say, shh, shh, shh. Dude, leave me alone, man. I'm looking for this. I'm focused. Just like when Kobe Bryant used to practice. He used to practice and not let people distract him because he was so focused on wanting to win championships. And that focus allows him and gives him an assertive energy to say no to the other things, to not care what this person thinks of your weird path, because you know what you're doing is actually going to lead to results. Having that certainty about yourself gives you the self-esteem, gives you the stamina, gives you the tenacity, the will, the gall to follow through and not care what people think of you.
We humans are complex, right? We have our rational side, and then we have our irrational sides to our character. Because of this lack of cohesion, because our irrational sides and our irrational sides are always in conflict with each other. Right? So it's very hard to have a feeling of direction, to have a sense of direction when so many different forces are pulling us this way and pulling us that way. We have the voices of our parents, the voices of our mothers, the voices of babies sticking their tongue outside us, you know. It's because of this lack of cohesion, we have a muddy understanding of what we're meant to do in life because we have so many voices inside of us. Because of this aimlessness, some people might choose to immerse themselves in addictions for other forms of pleasure. Anything that would distract us from the pain that it has impaired on us. I remember even a year ago, before I started doing art, people, I was very depressed at that time, right? Before I did art, I was very depressed. And I remember, and don't get me wrong, I was doing YouTube and I felt some purpose. But there was nothing that I could have done to remove that depression until I found my purpose, which was not my purpose, but until I found a sense of purpose. And that sense of purpose, I found it through art. You see what I'm saying? As soon as I did that, it's almost like the depression turned into motivation. It was pretty weird, right? But we're going to be talking about how we could turn those negative emotions into a positive, right? But whenever you don't have a sense of purpose, a lot of people will end up in addictions. A lot of people will end up settling for things that they don't want to settle for, right? A lot of people will end up looking for other forms of pleasure, like going to prostitutes, becoming addicted to women, right? Becoming addicted to just an overall addiction to pleasure In other words, social media, wanting validation, always on your phone. Whenever you don't have a sense of direction, you naturally sway towards things that lower your vibration, right? And the only solution to this is developing a high sense of purpose. And that comes from deep within, something that is connected to your individuality, connecting to the thing that makes you you from the core, right? This will bring you integration and direction into your life. And if you don't, it'll send you signs of your, if you don't find your sense of purpose, then your inner calling, your inner voice, the voice that speaks to you, will talk to you through feeling bored, through feeling unease, through feeling frustrated, through feeling angry, through feeling envious of other people's success, right? The voice of your calling speaks to you sometimes in the negative. You just feel bored for some reason. You just feel like your life has no purpose for some reason. That is not a reason to cry or to bitch. That is the voice inside of you is speaking to you, right? And what you got to do is go in the opposite direction. Not in a direction to satisfy that pain through pleasure and drugs, like I sometimes do, but through doing or finding something that will completely immerse your focus, through trying to find something that will completely bring you peace. In other words, looking at what in your past brought flow. For me, it was art. For me, it was becoming a teacher when I was younger, right? Everyone is different. And we're going to talk about how to find that purpose, but for now, this is just the introduction, so please bear with me, okay? This voice is not the voice of your ego that wants instant gratification. It comes from within, from the abstrata of your psyche. It absorbs you in whatever task that you're doing that fits your inclination. But listening to this voice takes a lot of introspection and practice. Listening to this voice prevents detours and other problems that life brings. But once you decide to be on this course, once you listen to this voice, once you have a sense of your calling, there is no going back. Your course is set. Deviating from it will bring pain and unease. You see what I'm saying? In other words, once you find that purpose, once you feel how it feels like to have a sense of purpose, deviating from it would just bring pain to you. It's simple as that, right? And that is the cause for a lot of people. That's why they just feel so unfulfilled in life. You know, they just don't know where they're going. You know, they don't feel that reason to wake up. You know, their work is not connected to their calling, so they're not really that creative. They don't put their whole hearts into it. You know, the world that we live in has so much choice that people react in two ways, right? The world that we live in is very chaotic. The world that we live in has a lot of is always moving and is always changing. It's very dynamic, and it's not as slow moving as it was in the past, right? So people who don't have a sense of purpose react to this kind of chaos in two different ways. One, they choose to want to do everything, right? They choose to want to experiment and not get good at one thing. They choose to just try a whole bunch of things without really committing to one thing. They choose to indulge in their freedom and will decide to figure things out later on in life. This will become their source of motivation, right? The other way of dealing with this kind of chaos is to become frightened by the chaos. What motivates you then is finding stability in this unstable world. We settle into things, into the first relationship that comes to us, the first job that arrives. Both paths lead to the same road. Trying so many different things, we never really get good at anything. We never really focus because we're used to distracting ourselves and trying new things, right? Even when you settle as a result of fear, after a while, when you hit your 30s, you're gonna begin to feel like you really didn't achieve your potential. You're gonna feel like something within you was taken away. You'll grow resentful to life. You'll always be going around on a daily basis, envying young people. You'll be walking around continually regretting the fact that you didn't do nothing in your 20s, right? That's what happens when you settle, when you take the easy path. And you know what? I don't blame people for this. Like, this is something that do what's best for you. But just realize that there's more risk in settling. Actually, I don't know, to be honest with you. I truly don't know. I mean, everyone's path is different, and I'm not going to tell you what to do because, some people settle and they're happy with it. But I just seen a lot of stories of people settling, and then, like, you settle for the first relationship, and it's like you really hit it at the park in the first pitch, really? Or was it the fact that you just didn't want to deal with the pain of finding the right person and being patient? You were too much in a rush. That's not how you want to make your decision, right? In your 30s, it's not too late, people. There's no such thing as being too late. As soon as you tap into your calling, it could be in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. As long as you tap into it, that is all that matters. As long as you tap into it, it is all that matters, man. And I don't know how to deal with the fact that maybe you feel regretful that you wasted a good portion of your life. I don't know how to deal with that, to be quite honest with you. I truly don't. But it's always good to just keep focusing on what's in front of you and forget about the past, right? Because some things we just can't change, and I don't know how to help with that. There are better people for that, unfortunately.
And that's how you don't care and stop caring what others think of you, people. This is pretty much a secret, right? Especially the first part. The first part could get me in trouble. I'm not even gonna lie, because I'm not allowed to teach that, to be honest with you. Anyways, man, you guys be safe, man, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys want to learn about this, you guys can actually purchase my course, Emotional Mastery. It's a course that I did based on the principles that I talked about today on how to stop caring what people think, and also how to let go, how to liberate yourself from your emotions, how to master your mind, how to develop a strong meditation practice. And I also give you guys different meditation techniques week by week that will add up upon itself. Okay, so click in the description down below to purchase it, or I'm closing the channel. Take care.